Hey everybody, Blue on Gold Z coming at you with a new video for a recent purchase that I made for one of my AR-15s. As you can see in front of you, it is a AR-15 bolt carrier group. This particular one is made by WMD and it is a nickel boron coated bolt carrier group. The original reason that I wanted to purchase it is because I've been doing quite a few reviews, or excuse me, research, and for the overall benefits of a nickel boron coated bolt carrier group. I would say that the advantages that a nickel boron bolt carrier group offer aren't incredibly significant over a phosphate covered standard bolt carrier group, which is what I had previously, which is actually just off camera view right here. But I figured if there's anything that I can do to improve the gun in any shape, form, or fashion, even if it may be a small improvement, I thought that I would give it a try. Um, at the very least, a nickel boron bolt carrier group, similar to like a chrome bolt carrier group, or anything that has kind of a silver coating, can add some aesthetic value to the gun, at the very least. Um, but overall, I took this gun out, and the bolt carrier group has about 250 to 275 rounds through it. As you can see, it's dirty, and that's going to be part of this review, is to see how well it cleans up. That's one of the main advantages, if anything, other than aesthetic, that the nickel boron coating can offer, is that it's supposed to reduce cleaning time, as the surface is very slick and very smooth and very uniform, and it makes it more difficult for any of the carbon to basically latch on into the grooves and valleys of a rougher treatment, such as like a phosphate or an oxide. Um, so what I have off camera is basically some break-free CLP. I have a plate where I put two different patches. The one to the left is with break-free CLP, and then the one to the right is just dry. I also have some standard tools. We've got a brush, a pick, or one of the picks from the set, and just some pliers to take out the cotter pin. So overall, what we're going to do is we're going to wipe it down and see how easy it cleans up, and see if there's any areas where carbon still will stick on. And then later in the video, I'll put up another video of me test firing the gun, putting it through its paces, pretty rapid fire, and just to see how reliable it is, to make sure that there wasn't any kind of malfunctions due to the new equipment being put inside of the AR-15. So we'll start off with dry patches first. And what we're going to do is we're just going to wipe down the exterior. Now, I think it's been about 3 weeks, I think, since I fired the gun. Most of the rounds were done actually on the July 4th weekend, which, let's see, it's already August 29th, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I basically haven't cleaned this gun in about 2 months, and I recently took it to a firing range to do another video on a new muzzle brake that I purchased. That's going to be coming up, so hopefully you guys can subscribe for that. Um, but overall, normally I like to clean guns the day that I use them or the day after. Even though it's not necessary, I like to clean guns as soon as possible. But I knew that I was going to be going shooting shortly after to film some more video, as well as to just shoot around with some friends. So there wasn't any point in me cleaning it again if I'm going to be, shooting it pretty soon. So this stuff, most of this carbon that you see on here, has been on the gun for at least 2 months. So let's see how well it cleans up. Hopefully the camera can pick it up well. What we'll do is we'll start off with the gas port area, which let me excuse my nails. I've neglected on cutting them, but they're pretty long. So let's start at the gas port, which is right here. Let's see if it wipes off pretty clean. Oh, look at that. Oh, and by the way, I just want to let people know that the lubrication that I'm using, I've kind of changed it up. I found two new lubrication products or methods. What I used on this is Lucas Lucas Performance Oils, I guess it is. I went basically to an AutoZone and I was looking at alternative methods of lubes for guns, and I saw that they had an engine assembly lube, and it's a much, you know, thicker, tackier kind of lubrication designed for when you're rebuilding a motor or you're building a motor. So a lot of performance, you know, engine builders, they use that kind of stuff, and it's partly synthetic, and it has high pressure friction or anti-friction additives such as zinc and moly in it, so it helps prevent wear. And I just like the idea that it was thicker than most oils, such as, you know, like a brake free, and would kind of stay put. So a lot of this stuff here is, I don't believe I mixed it with anything else. It's basically a very thick engine assembly lube that doesn't really, you know, move around. So the fact that it's 2 months old and it's been kind of baked on, I guess you could say, but it just wiped off like that, that's a testament, I guess, to the nickel boron coating. But without further ado, let's continue to wipe away. Now I'm looking at my screen to make sure that nothing is getting out of focus. Let's see, there's some more up top here. Let me angle it for you guys. And then there's some above the WMD. Let me rotate it. Okay, let's see if that comes off. Okay, that came off pretty good. As you can see, there's the patch. And there's some on the top of the bolt carrier group. Let's see, let me angle it. As you can see, it's kind of gleaming right there. Let's see if it comes off. Yeah, it's coming off pretty good. Now what was interesting, well, I'll show it when I get more to the rear of the bolt carrier group, is that I've been told, and I've done some research, that nickel boron does change colors when it starts to get heated up, depending on what kind of coatings were put on it, like lube by the individual. I've noticed some discoloration, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a gun is a tool. I mean, you can't really fault it for that. But what was interesting is that a lot of the discoloration at the rear of the bolt looked like it was almost ingrained into the metal. Like I couldn't wipe it off. And it's almost like it was perhaps like a molecular change due to the heat. Again, not a bad thing. It might be able to be polished out. I'm not sure. I'm going to get another patch. So we're going to use another dry white patch, and there's some carbonization and basically oil. Let's see if it comes off. So there is some stuff coming off, but I think you're starting to see that changing in the color. That's like it's ingrained into the metal, and it's not really leaving. I mean, I can scrub pretty hard, and you can see it's still there, which is fine. I mean, I don't think it's going to detract from the performance of the gun, because it's not adding additional resistance. It's not like there's layers of carbon that is going to be scraping up against the inside of the upper receiver. I remember putting some of the gel on, obviously, the rails. You might be able to see some of that right here. I'm going to wipe that down. Let me see if I can get it closer for you guys. And we'll wipe that. Okay, that's coming off pretty good, actually. There's not really any discoloration. There's some to the back of the gas key. I'm going to rotate it. Let's see if I can face it to the light. Basically, the area that I'm talking about is right here. There's some crud. Let's see if it comes off pretty easily. So just pay attention to this corner right here. See, there's like this black. And yeah, it came off. So as you can see, this is the discoloration that I was telling you about. And what's interesting is that it's not really towards like this area right here. I don't know if I put the other lube that I was talking about towards the back here, but yeah, it just seemed like you know, whatever I put back here, and then the heat from firing the gun, it discolored the metal. I'm not sure how far down it discolored the metal, but as you can see, it's back there. In a way, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're a person that is really that stuck on you know, the aesthetics of the rifle, this part of the bolt carrier group, you're not even going to see. This is going to be always at the back of the receiver. But I'll just show you guys. I'm going to rub it, and it's not coming off. And again, that's not really a big deal. Obviously, it's not a great thing, but it's not a big deal. And let's see, we got the underside, and there's not really that much. You know, everything is just coming off nice and easy. Okay, so I've done enough talking about the outside. Just as important, let's look. We'll take this whole thing apart, and we'll see how everything looks in there. So we'll use one of these picks. Take the cotter pin out, and that's my cat meowing. He always seems to want attention whenever I'm filming a YouTube video. I could be playing video games, or I could have guests over, and he's normally pretty quiet, but the minute I start doing a YouTube video, he starts meowing. I think he's trolling me. He knows what he's doing. He's a pretty smart cat, and he likes to mess with me sometimes. Okay, so this is the firing pin. Now, this isn't, I don't believe this is nickel boron coated. Most firing pins do have a polished aluminum coating to them, I believe, or steel, I guess. It's polished steel, but we'll go ahead and we'll just go ahead and wipe it down, trying to get a pad real quick, or a patch, I should say. And we'll just wipe this off. Sorry, I took it out of view right there. So we'll just wipe that down. Now, yeah, because this firing pins are almost always like this. I don't think anybody really does nickel boron firing pins. There's not really any point of friction to them. They're not really working against any other metal surfaces. They're just hitting the back of the bullet, basically. This wasn't, the cotter pin also was not nickel boron. Again, it's not a big deal. You know, WMD probably realized that, again, there's no friction points, so they didn't bother coating the cotter pin in nickel boron. But let's get the bolt out. We'll rotate the cam pin, and that's nickel boron coated. We'll set that aside, and then we'll rotate out. Now, basically the most carbon buildup that you'll probably get in the entire bolt carrier group, as some of you may already know, is usually at the boat tail end of the actual bolt, as well as the area where the gases come down from the gas key, and then they hit this area right here, and that helps to eject the gases out of the gas port right there. That's the reason why it's kind of like a piston for a car. You have the piston, you have the rings right here to help keep the gases from not getting further back into the upper receiver. So we'll use the same patch, and this lube has done a pretty good job. It's still liquidy, but get a good look at that. I'm going to be focusing around the raised area right here, and again, this is nickel boron coated. If any part that needs to be nickel boron coated, it's definitely the bolt. And let's see how well or easy it is to take off the lube. Trying to make sure I keep it in camera. And there you have it. It's pretty, that was pretty easy. I'm not saying that cleaning a phosphate or oxide, you know, parts is difficult, but, you know, this definitely helps cut down. Now, can't remember if I put any of the engine assembly lube in here. I've learned that it's not really a good idea to put lube here. If anything, maybe like a very light coating of like break-free CLP or corrosion X or ballistol, because basically that's going to get carbonized because you're getting these hot jets of really hot gases, and you don't necessarily want to carbonize that, and it makes it difficult to take off. But there's really no carbon on there at all. Now there is that discoloration. You can see me rotating it. There is that discoloration, but there's no carbon right there. And then let's get towards the rear. Let me see if I can just focus this again. I think that's a little bit better. And I'll get my last dry patch right here. So far, in order to clean this thing, I have not used any of the wet patches that are impregnated with the break-free CLP. All I've been using is these dry patches, and everything has been coming off. Now I do feel a little bit of roughness as I'm rotating this bolt. Normally here you see like really tiny mountains of built up carbon, and there really isn't tall mountains of it, but there is like a very thin layer of it. And I don't have a bolt scraper, but what I've been using is a thumbtack. Um, and what I've been doing is I'll get like break-free CLP and I'll spray it in there, let it kind of get in there, impregnate it, and then I'll start breaking up the carbon. But for the purpose of the video, which I don't want to keep too long, it's already 16 minutes. And if you're still watching, I really appreciate it. I'm not going to start breaking this up, but we'll just get in between the lugs of the front of the bolt face, and they are cleaning up nicely. There's like nothing there. The front of the bolt face is also pretty clean. The only thing that's in there is pretty much like like some of the brass fragments of the brass casing. So I'm just cleaning that a little bit, and overall it's pretty clean. Oh, and then this also gets quite a bit of carbon built up on it as well, but right now it's just the lube, and I can almost already tell it's going to be easy to take off. It's still wet, so again the Lucas assembly lube, engine assembly lube, has been doing a great job. And I think that if you pair something that is as thick as the engine assembly lube, and then you pair it with nickel boron, I mean your gun could probably go for a couple of thousand rounds without even needing uh, like like a relubing. I mean, not that a lot of us are in a situation where we're going through thousands of rounds, but maybe if you're a active duty service member and you're out in the field and you can get into combat. I think the combination of a nickel boron coating with some high grade oils, I mean, you wouldn't have to worry about lubing it up for a while. But yeah, overall, it's been really easy to clean. Just I'll make real quick. I'm just gonna get some of the break-free CLP impregnated pads. Can't really tell by the camera, but we'll wipe it down some more, and we'll see if there's any. Now there is some more stuff coming off. As you can see, it's already starting to get dirty. Normally what I like to do is I like to irrigate pretty much my bolt carrier groups. I like to, there's some more crud that's coming off right there. I like to flood my bolt carrier groups with like break-free CLP. I like to spray them down and get in there and flood out any kind of like debris or whatever that might be hanging around. But this thing is cleaning up really nicely. Now there are other bulk carrier group companies out there. Fail Zero, I think, was the originator. Apparently, the people that did fail or created the nickel boron uh, chemical for Fail Zero, apparently they left the company and they started WMD. So now the thing is that when I was doing my research, Fail is makes good stuff. There's also like a Palmetto State Armory that makes their own uh, nickel boron. They're all reasonably good, but some of the companies make, like, their coatings aren't as uh, lubrous as a WMD. I think some people have commented on, like, I think it was like on the Palmetto State. They said that there was like a fragmentation of some of the coating, but also they said that some of the finishing, which is almost just as important as the coating itself, like the metalworking finishing on some of the product, there would be like burrs and rough points in different parts of the bolt carrier group, like somewhere along the rails. I read multiple reviews that the WMD stuff, or the WMD bolt carrier group, not only had the best coating, but also had the best finishing. Like, everything was just polished and smooth and whatnot. And just to give you guys a reference point, like where this discoloration was, I never took a picture of this when I first got it, but where this discoloration was when I first got it was when it was brand new. I mean, it was like this area right here. I mean, it was like a mirror finish. There was no discoloration. This bolt carrier group was immaculate. It was beautiful. I mean, it still is beautiful. But yeah, overall, this thing looks like it's cleaning up pretty nice. I got my one last impregnated patch, and we're gonna go over the actual bolt. I'm sorry if I'm getting this out of focus. Right now I'm in the middle of the bolt. Now I'm towards the rear, and I'm just getting in between the teeth now. Probably when I'm done with this video, I'm going to flood these parts. I'm going to get my can of CLP, and I'm just going to make sure that no shell casings or brass. I can see like some of the jackets from the bullets, like very small fragments, are inside here, so I'm probably going to flood that out. But overall, this is cleaning up really nice. And just run it through. Now we're doing the cotter pin. Not the cotter pin, I'm sorry, that was the cam pin. And now, I believe the inside of this, most bolt carrier groups, on the inside, they put a chrome lining. Just to let you guys know, my old bolt carrier group is right here. This was a Daniel Defense. And if you notice, let me see if I can get the pick. If you notice here, actually, let me aim it towards the light. If you notice here, you get the black phosphate coated steel, and then as you get down here, it changes color, and that's because it's chrome lined. I believe that's where the starting of the chrome is, but inside here is chrome lined. So when this thing is rotating, and this still feels really nice and slick, it's rotating against like a hardened chrome, which helps keep it, um, the friction down and the reliability up. I don't believe that the inside of the WMD is using chrome. They're just using the same coating, and it looks. I know you guys can't probably see in there, but it looks like it's pretty clean already. And I'm just gonna stuff one of these down there, and let's see if anything comes out. Okay, I'm using the pick, and it's always good to have the plastic, what they call dental picks, I guess you can say. And yeah, there's some stuff coming out. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, and that was with very little effort. I mean, that was just wiping it, but overall, it looks like it's actually. I know you guys can't see this. Again, I keep taking it away from the camera, but the inside of that, I mean, you can even see the reflection of the light I mean, that means it's cleaning up pretty good, and because if there was covered in carbon, I mean, obviously you wouldn't be able to see that reflection inside there, but you can. So I guess that's one of the, again, that's one of the major advantages of having something like this is the ease of cleaning. WMD seems to make some pretty good stuff. Okay, so what I'll do is let me just I'll just reassemble this just for the purpose of the video. And let's see. It's funny because I always forget what goes where. Okay. That went in nice and smooth. Sometimes a cotter pin can be a little bit difficult to put in. Or not the, I keep calling it the cotter pin, the cam pin. Go ahead and drop that in. That went in nice and smooth. Everything seems to go in smoother, obviously. And put that in. And what I'll do is I'll probably put some more. I'm going to clean this off camera. I didn't want to do a really detailed cleaning on camera. But I mean, yeah, everything, you know, seems to work really, really well, really smooth. And the overall idea is that I think that this a gun that's operating with this bolt carrier group, if it was ever to go dry on lube, would probably be able to go a couple hundred more rounds, in my opinion, on something like as compared to this. You know, this is a phosphate or oxide bolt carrier group coating. And for instance, not this is a scientific test, but what I'll do is let me just get a little bit of lube, and we'll put that on there so that you can see it's nice and shiny. And then we can get one of my tools. This is just a needle nose plier, and I guess you can say it's like a sound test if you can hear a difference. So we'll just go to the back, and we'll just, let me see if I can put it. So obviously you can hear something. Now let me get the same lube and put it on this, and let's see if there's any difference in sound. That'd be kind of funny if there wasn't any difference in sound. So remember what the last one sounded like, and let's try this. You know, what's interesting is that as I was gliding that, because there's probably less resistance, I kept going over, and it kept falling off the back of the bolt carrier group. So there's definitely a sound, but I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but it's not as acute as that. Let's try that again. So again, it's not a scientific thing, but the thing is that even if the sounds are the same, I believe it's less loud on this one. Obviously, you can feel a little bit of resistance when on this one, whereas on this one it's very slick, and like I said, it almost wants to. I almost kept falling off the edge of it. So I'll upload. Oops, I'm sorry. I'll upload a video of this thing shooting to show the overall reliability. And overall, I am very impressed with this. I think it's a great product, and it's not too expensive. I can't remember what I paid for it, but I do remember that it wasn't. It was something that was like, I said to myself like, oh wow, that's not too bad at all. But okay, guys, I'll upload the video of me out at a friend's property, you know, putting it through its paces. It worked perfectly fine, no malfunctions. I highly recommend the WMD Nickel Boron coated bolt carrier group for the AR-15. Thanks.